Hello everyone, it's me 2009 here, and welcome to another video. 2025 marks 10 years since the release of Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, and in this video, I will be watching the film to see how well it has held up over time. As the norm with these videos, I will share my backstory with the film. I remember hearing about this film sometime before its release, and being really excited about it. This was the first film I ever saw in a cinema, and with that, let's start the film. The film starts with this shot of the windmill on Thomas's branch line. Apparently this was originally going to be the windmill from the classic series intro, but was dropped sometime in production. Fairly soon into the film, we get introduced into the first returning character, Oliver the Excavator, and straight after that, we see the thin clergyman on his bicycle, who is of course Wilbert Awdry himself. This film came out in 2015 for the 70th anniversary of the Railway series. The Adventure Begins was also released that year, which was the main piece for the 70th anniversary, although I am so glad that the crew made this film extra special too. Then we get my favourite opening to any Thomas film with this beautiful cinematic shots of Thomas accompanied by some incredible music, which is something I wanted to point out. The film's music is just amazing. It's more cinematic than the show's music itself, which makes it extra special. Something I just noticed is this shot of Thomas arriving at Farquhar is supposed to be a reference to the end of the intro from the classic series. As Marion passes the Arlesdale Railway, she passes an old signal box which Unlucky Tug said might have been an old Mid-Sodor signal box. This would make sense because the Arlesdale Railway was built on top of the trackbed of the Mid-Sodor Railway. Considering Andrew Brenner wrote this film, this was probably intentional as a little wink to the true fans of the series. Then we get introduced to the miniature engines, Mike, Rex and Bert, who before now were Railway series exclusive characters. I remember being really confused when I was younger because I hadn't read the Railway series at that time, and so I assumed the miniature engines were new characters. But I remember seeing a video with a toy of Mike which looked like a much older toy. This was the take-along Mike, but I didn't know that then. But considering the fact that the whole film takes place on the west of Sodor, it would have been wrong not to include the miniature engines. Pretty soon after, we get two new returning characters, Donald and Douglas. I think they were mainly just put in this film so that the main 11 steam engines created by Awdry could have speaking roles. I think it was considered for Donald and Douglas to be represented in the blue liveries from the Railway series, but this was dropped in favour of their black liveries, which they kept in the model series instead of being painted blue. This was probably done because audiences would have been more familiar with them showing their black liveries. Oh, and Alfie's in this film too. I like Alfie. We then get to hear the classic line about Thomas not being able to wake up, which is reused from the Railway series. Oh, and Max and Monty in this film. There were a lot of returnees here. It's a shame we never saw the other pack characters in CGI, but we have to be grateful for what we got. I know that Ardal O'Hanlon, who played Dougal in Father Ted, was offered to voice Patrick, but turned it down. This happened around the time of pre-production for Lost Treasure, so it probably was for this film. I don't know about you, but I think Dougal voicing Patrick would have been hilarious. I think most people can agree that the worst part about this film is the Fat Controller. He clearly got out of bed the wrong side. He is just way too angry in this film. I mean, yes, Thomas has cost him a lot of money in repairs, having to repair the express coaches, having to cancel or divert trains which are blocked at the junction, and at the same time under pressure to meet the deadline for the new branch line, but still, just take a chill pill. Now we get introduced to the film's first new character, Ryan, who is voiced by Eddie Redmayne. Not much else to say about him. A little reference to the 70th anniversary is the cake from Never Overlook a Little Engine, which says 70th on it, to reflect the 70th anniversary. Then we get my favourite crash in the entire CGI series, Thomas falling into the cavern. There are just so many shots and angles here that just wouldn't be possible with models. Now we get introduced to Sailor John, voiced by the late John Hurt, as well as Skiff, voiced by Jamie Campbell-Bower. How much of this film's budget went into hiring celebrities to voice the characters, I wonder? I want to mention the animation in this film. This came out during the peak of Thomas's animation, combined with the cinematic shots, which make the animation look probably the best CGI Thomas has ever had. Later in the film, Sailor John turns on Thomas, and then we get one of the best chases in the whole show. The moments before feel really suspenseful, and the chase itself is really intense. The music here is at its all-time best, and this shot of the pirate ship in front of the moon might be the best in the whole CGI series. During the chase, Sailor John starts throwing things at Thomas, and if that wasn't enough, he tries to blow Thomas up with dynamite. This might be the most threatening moment in the entire franchise. After that, we get to see this powerful shot of Sailor John going underwater losing the treasure. and then we get to see Sailor John getting arrested. This is how you know this is serious. Thomas hasn't had a human villain since the director's cut of Magic Railroad. I really like the ending to this film. As if we didn't have enough fraternities in this film, Daisy of all characters shows up. I love the ending shot of Thomas and Skiff looking out to sea with the fireworks in the background, before the cut to credits. Overall, this film has held up very well over the last 10 years. I highly recommend this one if you for some reason haven't seen it yet. It is easily one of the best Thomas films. You may not have noticed, but I now have a playlist for this series if you want to catch up on them. Link in the description. And with that, I want to thank all of you for watching, see you in the next video, and goodbye for now.